Hello friends, Mandar here. I'm back with another video. Today we are going to talk about some of the important questions regarding medicals I-693. We'll also talk about some of the downgrade petitions from EB2 to EB3, why some of the applications are being rejected when they are doing the petition for I-140, what are the processing volumes that people are looking at several different websites and questioning, and so many other questions that you will be interested in. So I would highly recommend watch this video until the end and let's get started. If you are here for the first time, welcome. My name is Mandar and I make immigration related videos for US and Canada. I'm not an immigration lawyer, so anything that I say on this video or on my channel is for information purpose only. And for your specific immigration needs, before you take any action, you should hire a competent immigration lawyer. Now there are a lot of questions that I get on the I-693 medical form. Now people are in the final stage of their green card and in the last 3 or 4 months we have seen the processing speed has increased from USCIS. So a lot of people are getting emails or phone calls or things like that to submit their medicals. And one of the things that I will highly recommend going forward is if you are applying for 485, do submit your medical examination forms, that is I-693 along with the form. In the past, I have also been advising if the processing volume is going to be too long or if the processing time especially is going to be too long, then there is no need to submit your I-693 at the beginning of your process, especially if your filing date is current and if you are filing as per the filing date chart but not as per the final action date chart. So if your final action date is not current, then it is advisable to not submit your medical form because you never know how long it's going to take. But in general, you should submit your I-693 along with your I-485 application if your final action date is current. So with that said, one of the other questions regarding 693 was, what is the validity of 693 form? Now remember, there are a couple of steps here. So you got to take an appointment with a physician, with an authorized medical center who would give you this immigration related I-693. So you take that appointment, you go there, they ask you for your vaccination history, they take all of your tests, and then the physician actually signs the letter, the I-693 form, and seals it in the envelope and gives it to you. That is the day when the clock starts ticking. So if you are applying for the 485 for the first time and submitting I-693 for the first time, you will need to submit this letter or your sealed envelope to USCIS within 60 days of the physician signing the I-693 form. So USCIS has to receive it within 60 days. Once it is received, then it is valid for 2 years. It is generally 2 years, but for a limited time, USCIS has extended that deadline or that validity period to 4 years. So it has to reach USCIS within the first 60 days and then it is valid for 2 years or 4 years for this limited time. So I hope that question is cleared. Now again, one of the things is, especially if your priority date is current, which is final action date is current, do submit your I-693 along with your 485. And even if the processing takes more than 2 years, just like what happened now, there is a chance that USCIS might extend your validity to more than 2 years. So you can take that chance. That's what I would suggest in this situation. Now the other question that I get very consistently is about the premium processing. Now remember, the premium processing is the method by which you can expedite your petition with USCIS. Now the premium processing applies to a lot of different visa categories. It applies for H1 whenever you do your H1 transfer, amendment, things like that. You can use premium processing when it's available. So that guarantees you your outcome of your case within 15 business days, which is 3 weeks approximately. It used to be 15 calendar days, but now they are saying 15 business days. But it is also application for I-140. So if you have the means, if you have the capability to pay those fees for 140, do pay that, because you get your I-140 adjudicated within 3 weeks. Premium processing fee used to be $1,200 and something as late as last year or something, but it has increased to $2,500, and with lawyer fees and all, it can easily go up to $3,000. Just for the premium processing, let alone the other application forms. So it can be very expensive proposition. Now you got to ask whether now when you ask the question whether I should do the premium processing or not, ask yourself this question: how stable is your job? How sooner do you need to get your I-140 approved? Is your I-485 date or is your final action date current? If it is current, if you are in the lookout for your next job, if you want to change the jobs and you want that green card sooner rather than later, or in other words, you have much to lose if you get your green card a little later, then in that case it makes sense for you to apply I-140 in premium processing. So your I-140 will be processed within 3 weeks, and once your I-140 is approved, that's when your I-485 processing will start. So you can save that time if you are in a rush. On the other side, if you have a stable job, good paying job, and you have no intention to change the job in the near future, and you are just waiting for your green card, and if it's not going to make any difference whether you get it in 2 months or 6 months, in that case you can save those $3,000, buy some bitcoins or go for a trip, and you can just do your regular processing because you are not in that rush. So hope that makes sense. Now in other cases, I would highly recommend doing premium processing. Say for instance, your spouse is using H4 EAD and you are doing your H1B extension. In that case, it makes sense to always do the premium processing, because that way your H4 and H4 EAD for your spouse also gets approved sooner, because nowadays H4 EAD is taking way longer than it used to be. So in that case, it is definitely recommended to do the premium processing. Now here is another very common question that I get: why are the downgrade petitions not getting processed? And I have even heard that some of the downgrade petitions are getting rejected or coming back. So there could be several reasons. One of the things that I have mentioned in my previous videos: make sure you work with a lawyer. And here's the situation: when your first EB2 is filed, that is based on your labor certification, which is called ETA 9089 labor certification. You have that original labor certification copy that you need to submit along with your I-140 for your initial EB2. Now when you have done that, you no longer have that original labor certification that was filed along with your first I-140 EB2 application. That is already with the USCIS service center. So now when you are doing your downgrade petition with EB3, you also need to submit that labor certification. If you don't have it, you have to submit a copy of it, copy of the original that you have already submitted. Now if you submit this to a separate office, it takes them time to attach your downgrade petition to that EB2 where you have submitted your original labor certification. And if they can't find that original labor certification in time, that's when you start seeing delays in your application. That is just one of the reasons. So work with a lawyer, try to find out where was the initial EB2 petition submitted, which office was it submitted, and try to submit your downgrade petition also to that particular office. The reason is, if you have moved, if you have changed job, if you have changed geographical location, you may have submitted your original EB2 along with your original labor certification to a different office, and now since you are submitting it to a different office based on your new geographical area, they may not be able to attach, or they may not be able to find that original labor certification. That's where the delay could occur. Now there is a lot of people have been asking the question, why did Charlie say that he is not going to progress any dates in the next couple of months in October or so? And he did say that he's not going to change the filing date chart in October, but however towards the end of the interview he also said that he wants to wait and see what happens in the next several weeks. So it's all fluid situation at this point of time. Although he said that he's not going to move any dates, it could very well mean that he is waiting for some additional information from whatever sources to make that decision. So we'll see what actually happens. But I would be very surprised if not in October, at least in November or December, filing dates chart dates should be moving. That is just my guess, because if you think about it, the Meng amendment says that the family-based preferences will get all these spillover numbers, but any unused numbers will still be available for employment-based categories. So say for instance 150k that are being spilled over this year from 2021 may go back to FB category, but this the leftover or wasted visa numbers from EB category for this year will still be available. So there will still be a huge volume of extra visa numbers available even if the Meng amendment is approved. So that what that means is dates are bound to change, dates are bound to move forward. It's just a matter of when does Charlie decide to move it and how fast he decides to move it, because my speculation is he's going to be extra cautious in moving these dates this year around. He doesn't want to move them too fast and then get into a situation later in the year where he has to stall the dates or even retrogress the dates. So he's just being extremely cautious this time. That's just my opinion. Now some people are looking at several different websites, and I don't know which ones, but claiming that there are 2200 visas or green cards being given out on a daily basis. I think there is a site that mentions that, but remember it's not just EB. When they say 2200 green cards per day, they mean everything. EB, FB, marriage-based petitions. Remember, marriage-based petitions don't have any cap. So there are tons and tons of marriage-based petitions that are approved every day, every month. Then it also includes the diversity lottery visas and so many other green card categories, and not just EB category. So if you are thinking that 2200 number is just EB category and it should be taking up about 140 or 50 green cards should be issued in the next 2 months, that's not true. I just wanted to kind of clarify that point to you. Now the next thing is preparation for the 485, preparation for the adjustment of status. Now every year at the year end, which is September, when it's October, you have a whole bunch of visa numbers available for the next year. So it's very likely that the dates progress, although this year it might be different, but regardless, you should be prepared just in case your date is on the border and it's about to get current in the filing date chart. Now the filing date chart is typically used in October, November and December of every year, which is the initial first 3 months where they want to create all the demand, and then they flip over to the final action date chart to submit your I-485 application. So if you are in that category where you are on the fence and you are about to get your date current, there are a couple of things that you might want to be prepared with. You need to have your birth certificate ready. If you don't have it with you, connect with your family and friends or people back in your home country and try to acquire a birth certificate. If you cannot acquire a birth certificate, then affidavit, work with a lawyer to create an affidavit. It has to be written and signed by somebody who knows you closely for many number of years and who can vouch for you. So that can be an acceptable documentation. Another thing is the marriage certificate. If you don't have it, you need to get that ready. Your kids' birth certificates, if they are from different countries, born in different countries, you might want to have those ready. Then letters from your employer, past employer. So if you have been working for a long time, typically in the employment based category, you need to keep all the letters from your employers specifying your start date, end date, your title and job description, those sort of things, so that matches up with whatever you have mentioned in your 140 petition. So keep that ready. University transcripts is another thing that you want to keep it ready. All the I-797, which is approval notices. So if you have been in the US for a long time on different visas, such as student visa or F1, H1, L1 or whatever the visas you have been up until now, you need to gather all those approval notices and keep them ready, because those will be needed at the time of your application of 485. And then keep all the passport copies. If you have your expired passports from the past, make sure you have the copies of that, specifying all the visas that you had in your previous passport as well as your current passport, and then the degree certificate and things like that. So this is just a general list of documentation that you can start collecting and keeping it ready just in case your date becomes current and you start working with your lawyer to submit your 485 application. So I hope this helps. Now, a lot of people have been emailing me and messaging me that I should mention in my videos about the letters to be sent to the senators and the congressmen or lawmakers about using up all the green cards. Now, I would say work with your lawyer, whoever is authorized to tell you what the format is and things like that. I'll be happy to create it, but I am a little skeptical about how this would work, how this would translate into actual law. If letters would have made any difference, it would have made long time back. So nothing wrong with submitting letters or writing letters to your senators and congressmen, but don't put all of your hopes in that. Do what is good, know what are the rules, know what are the policies, changes coming up, and plan your life according to that. Don't plan on the hope that if you write a letter, some things are going to change, because at least from my experience in the last 22 years I've been here, I haven't seen anything that is transpired from or letters sending to the senators, if you will. So but if it works, that's great. Nothing like that. So I hope you found some value in this video. If you did, please hit the like button and consider subscribing to my channel, and I'll see you in the next one.